What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Purrrlock Holmes, Furriarty's Tale from IDW Games. This is for 2 to 5 players, take about 20 to 30 minutes to play, and it's for ages 10 plus. And Purrrlock Holmes is a deduction game where you're going to try and figure out the person who committed a crime and at what time they committed the crime. The card is going to be, the criminal is going to be a card set in front of you. It's a competitive game where you're going to try and catch Furriarty, but at the same time, if Furriarty gets away, then everybody loses. What am I talking about? Let's open it up, and I'll show you how it works. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Purrrlock Holmes. So first and foremost, we're going to handy dandy rule booklet, 12 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. Very well done. Big thumbs up on the rule booklet. So in Purrrlock Holmes, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be trying to catch the dreaded Furriarty, which is going to be this token right here. If he ever reaches all the way over here, then everyone on the table will lose the game, and the person who has the lowest points will be the litter box inspector. If someone does manage to catch him, then you'll tally up the points, and you'll earn points by getting these little tokens right here, and whoever has the most points will be the winner of the game. You're going to get those tokens by figuring out the killer, the criminal in the case, and what time that criminal did what they did. So let's take a look at the cards you're going to get in the game. So for instance, if this card was in front of you, you don't get to see the card. It's going to be like this so that the player whose card it is doesn't see it. The rat would have committed the crime at 7, or the goose would have committed the crime at 6, or the toad at 4. So as you can see, they're all going to have an animal and a number in the upper right-hand corner that will correlate to a time on the clock. Each player is also going to get one of these handy-dandy little player boards here, which will show you how the time works. It'll show you the different characters. And then also, if you flip it over to the side, you lose 1 victory point, but then you get to immediately make a guess. This will come into play generally towards the end of the game when things are tight and Furriarty is about to escape, which does happen quite frequently in this game. I feel like it's very well balanced in that aspect. So when you first start the game, each player is going to get one of these little standees, and they're going to secretly, without looking at the character or the time, put this in front of them, like so. Next, what they're going to do is they're going to draw the top 2 cards off of this deck right here, and then they're going to ask if it's a lead or it's a dead end. They'll do it one at a time. So, for instance, this would be a dead end. Now, how do you know it's a dead end? It's a different character, and the time is not within 1 hour or exactly this time. So, for instance, this is a dead end because it's not a dog and because it's not 4, 5, or 6 o'clock. So this would go on the dead end side. Now, having dead ends out here is very, very valuable information, so that's important to know. So let's see what this one is. This is a goose, and it's at 8 o'clock. So now we officially know that it's not a goose, which we already kind of knew. That's actually really bad information. So that would be an unfortunate start for us. So next, everybody's going to draw 2 cards, unless you're the first player, in which case you will draw 4 cards, and then I can just show you how the game is played. So on your turn, you're either going to have 2 or 4 cards in your hand, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, and you're going to play 2 of those cards one at a time to see if they are a dead end or a lead. So you know what, obviously I'm not going to play this goose card because I know it's not a goose, but I don't know that it's not a frog, so you know what? I'll put this frog out here, and everyone looks at it, and then the person to my, I believe it's to my left, would say, that is a lead, and it's a lead because it's 6 o'clock, which is 1 hour away. Now, they wouldn't say that, obviously. They would just say, it's a lead. So now that goes into my lead pile, so I say, interesting. Well, let's go ahead and see if it's the frog by playing this 3 right here. So we'd say, all right. Actually, you know what? We might do, yeah, we'll do this one. We'll say, this is our card, and they'd say, that is also a lead. So let's take a look at what we can deduce from this piece of information right here. Because the next thing you're going to do on your turn is you are going to, well, you're going to pass these 2 cards to the next player, but you're also going to, if you would like, guess either the time, the character, or both in order to gain victory points. Now, here's the thing. If you gain it, it's great. You get the victory points. You get to draw 2 cards. But if you do not get it correct, then you do not get to draw 2 cards, which means next turn, you're going to be handcuffed with whatever 2 cards are passed to you. So you will have to investigate those 2 cards. There's a little bit of risk reward in there. So we know it's not a goose, and we know it's not 7, 8, 9, or 10 o'clock. That's what we know from these cards over here. Taking a look over here, We know it could be a dog. We know it could be a toad. We really don't have enough information to guess. We could take a guess because we know it's either going to be the dog or the toad. But this early in the game, we probably would not. So we would just pass our hands to the player on the left, who would now have 4 cards, and they would do the exact same thing. Eventually, what's going to happen is it's going to go all the way around the table. And once it goes all the way around the table, Furriarty is going to move 1 space. So Furriarty goes here, we flip that over, and Furriarty is 1 step closer to escaping. If he ever gets over here to kiss himself, at least that's how we set it up, then he escapes and everybody loses and one person super loses. So now let's say it gets back to us, and these are the 4 cards we have in our hand. So we're looking at these 4 cards and we're saying, all right, let's see if it's the frog. We're going to play this card right here, see if it's the frog. I know that if it's a dead end, that it's not the frog. So we put this out here and they'd say that's a dead end. And so then we now know that it is the dog. So now we see if we can figure out what time it is, because as I mentioned, we know it's not 7, 8, 9, or 10 based on the cards out here. So let's see. We already have this piece of information. Let's go with this. So we might put this up. We know it's not going to be the crow, but we're checking to see if it's 3 o'clock. And they would say this is a dead end because it's not close to 5. So now we know it's not 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 3, 4. So at this point, we would probably just take what we have and we'd say, all right, I am going to predict that it is, in fact, the dog. And they'd say, yes, you're correct, which means now this card would go on top of you. You get this little token, which would stay face down, but you now know you have a victory point. All these cards go away. You're going to get a new card that will be face up like so that you do not see. And then you're going to get 2 more cards that will either be a lead or dead end. And then you're going to rinse, wash, and repeat. You're going to go until someone catches Furriarty, at which point you'll tally up the points. And as you can see, Furriarty is worth 3 points. Or you're going to go until Furriarty escapes, at which point everyone loses the game. But that, in a nutshell, is how Purrrlock Holmes is played. Alright then, Purrrlock Holmes from IDW Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, this is a light, simple deduction game. If you're hoping for something meatier, this one is probably not going to be for you. This is definitely a family weight deduction game. It's not going to take you too long at all. Normally a turn or 2 to figure out either the time or the person that is on the card in front of you. And that's another con that I have of this game. It's very much based on luck. If you have a good hand of diverse cards, if you have the perfect card in your hand, you could pretty much figure out things a lot quicker. Now, granted, that perfect card is going to change from round to round to round and character to character to character, but still, you are definitely at the luck of the card draw in that aspect. Another con that I have with this game is that I actually kind of liked it best at the lower player counts. So normally I like playing things at the higher player counts most of the time, especially shorter games like this. But playing at the lower player count, there is nothing that is missed from not playing at the higher player count. What I mean by that is normally if you're playing a 4 or 5 player game, there's more interaction. There's more of something that makes the game a little bit better. But in this game, I really didn't feel like I missed out on anything playing a 2-player version of the game as opposed to playing a 5-player version of the game. The people are really just there to tell you if things are dead end or if they are leads. Now that being said, there is a slight bit of player interaction because if someone starts off really good, then it might push you to take guesses that you might not have otherwise taken a little bit more risk. But that being said, this definitely feels like a solitaire game. There's not much player interaction, which will be a turnoff to some people. The theme's kind of weird. I don't know why they decided to make Sherlock Holmes and turn it into a cat and dog and goose themes, but hey, whatever. I think that actually is going to work a little bit better with the family market. And that's all I got on the con side. Moving on to the pro sides, I was very pleasantly surprised by this game, and this game will be on my shelf for a very long time. I look forward to playing it with my son as he gets older, and for that, I can say this is a fantastic family game. First and foremost, if you're looking at this and you're like, man, I really want to get a family game, this one I highly recommend. Now, that being said, there is just enough meat on the bones to bust this out as a filler game at game night. And that's another great thing about this game. It's easy to learn. It's easy to teach. It's one of those games that you just kind of set it up and you say, all right, I'm going to take the first turn and you will figure out how this game is played. And it fits into that filler weight category, especially if you're playing at the lower player counts, which is another reason why I kind of like the lower player counts a little bit better, because the game can take 15, 20 minutes. It's very, very quick. Another thing I really liked about this game is that I felt like it was really well balanced for where Furriarty was. there always is like this sense of tension that he's going to get away. And generally, and I think nearly all the games we played, it got towards the tail end of the game, and we're like, oh, we really need to start taking more risky guesses and maybe trying to guess two things instead of one thing, because if Furriarty gets away, then we all lose, and I like that aspect. I like Furriarty's there to kind of push you into having a little bit more fun and being a little bit more gambly and a little bit looser with your guesses, which I like an awful lot. I like the fact that the points are face down and some are face up. Now, that being said, that can be a little bit swingy. You know, if you get two of them and they just happen to have 6 points on them, you were in a very, very good position, which makes me happy that Furriarty also has the 3 on him, so it's very worthwhile trying to catch him. But in the end, Purrrlock Holmes is a fantastic family game. I think it's a good lightweight filler game. I liked it best at the smaller player counts, but I still enjoyed it at the higher player counts as well. Easy to learn, easy to teach, great components, good box insert, good rules. Overall, Purrrlock Holmes, this is a no-brainer if you're in the market for a family game or if you're in the market for a simple deduction light filler game for your game night. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Sherlock Holmes, you ever really get into this series, the books? For me personally, no. I really like the Robert Downey Jr. movies that came out, but I never read the books. I tried to at one point. I went through like this phase where I read a lot of like Edgar Allan Poe and some stuff about Jack the Ripper, and I wanted to try and get into that time period and read about it, but I just didn't like, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? I think I remembered his name. Holy crap. I didn't really like his style of writing. But let me know in the comments below. Sherlock Holmes, did you dig the books, the movies? Let me know, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.